As Fish, it has a consistent, solid base, and it's not ever fucking changing every 2 seconds. So that's where the game base is going to go, because it's in a solid state. This game is not in a solid state by any means. And where the devs think at this point it's better to do kind of what they're doing right now. Let's get the whole community hyped. Let's get them obnoxious in the Discord about AAs. Let's do AAs, but let's not really focus on the game itself. Let's continue to nerf things, change things, do whatever the fuck else, rather than fix the devastated state that the game's actually in. Let's continue making it worse by changing it instead of making it a solid state and then building upon that. Right. There's that. And then taking out, like level rods, whether they were trash essentially or not, takes out the want or need to have a goal to want to level up. Nerfing the level system to the ground also takes your players want to even play, because it's almost impossible to level up to that degree to even get anything away where they don't want to play. Taking out the good beginner rods and sticking them with high fucking levels all of a sudden that they never were level capped for is ridiculous. Like, Cerulean shouldn't have ever all of a sudden jumped up to fucking needing a level cap for 400. That is a fantastic beginner level rod. And it should have stayed there. They shouldn't have added, in my opinion, Nova to it. They could have added Nova to a different rod or made a whole new rod that had the Nova mutation on it. They should have left Cerulean with no mutation, because now that makes it more valuable of a rod, but it was a fantastic beginner rod. And that's what it should have been. And that's where it should have stayed. Right, exactly. Now, yeah, and that makes them want to leave now as well. And see, that's the thing too. If they wanted to do money dumps, which they took away, honestly, the actual possibility to truly do money dumps. But on top of that, if they were going to nerf it for balancing, a true balance, again, they did not do it in a proper way. But if that was really truly your goal, you would have wiped where to a degree where everybody was on the same playing field. They did not do that. So that clearly was not their goal, and they didn't nerf everything to be balanced. Anyways, it's a clusterfuck of shit. So their goal clearly was not a true balance, because they didn't nerf anything to be balanced. It's not balanced. And listening to everybody when Dream Breaker came out, and when it had a higher multiplier, everybody threw a fit because it was higher than Tryhard. Well, in my personal opinion, and again, I come from bigger studio games, any newer rod that is also a quest item, mind you, should be higher than an older item, because it's new. You shouldn't keep an old ass item, even if the quest was harder or not. You shouldn't keep that one being the highest multiplier or whatever. Your newer items should be more appealing and worth more Otherwise, what's the reason to get Dreambreaker? There's no reason to play that content if the item coming out of it isn't worth anything. Right, and that's what I've said before about, taking away money from the rich, is they're walking a fine line between two different player bases. Well, technically three, because you got the new players, you have the old players, and then you have the lazy ass players that don't want to do anything for themselves, so they want to whine, bitch, and complain about every little thing. And those people, that side, will never be happy no matter what you do. So to me, that base needs to just, to an extent, kind of need to be ignored a little bit when you're trying to build an actual game, because that side is the side that's being listened to, sadly, 90% of the time. Even when they did the 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 form that got filled out, you could tell when they first nerfed everything and they did the form, all of the answers were I don't know, 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 I don't know. Well, those answers should have been null and void and not, in my opinion, counted towards a vote. If you can't give a coherent fucking response and a actual, like, anything other than I don't know, then to me, your vote should be useless. If you cannot give anything to critique or add substance to the conversation or to the question, there should be null and void. But that's I guess maybe a personal opinion. I don't know, but that's the way I think of it, because you're at that point just being greedy and obnoxious. But there is mainly two sides of the party of a fine line that they're trying to walk, and instead they literally, in my opinion, just tanked it instead of trying to actually walk it. And no, you shouldn't take away the money from the rich, but they took away the ability to even dump that money. But they also took away a way for anybody else to get up to their level. And that's where the problem lies, because everybody sees their level, and that's the goal that they set. Hey, I want to be where they're at. And now it's impossible to ever be where they're at. And the problem that they're failing to understand, but they allowed it to get to that point once. So since you allowed it, it's there. It's already in the game. You can't take that back. It's a fuck up that they made. So essentially, that's the mistake that they either got to work with or completely get rid of. And since you can't completely get rid of it because you're going to lose over half your game base, then you got to work with it and allow that to still stand and other people to get to that point. Also, you need to have things that allow those players who are just standing around with that kind of money to actually have things to spend their money on. Otherwise, because there's not any good content, even for the money that I have, I'm spending it on just crap. Okay, because there's nothing in here that's really good for me to fucking, like, anything I want. There's nothing I want. The black market is shit. There's nothing in here. There's nothing to spend money on. It's all garbage. Right, the new rods are worse than the fucking old rods. And that goes back to what I said a second ago. Anything new should technically be better than the old ones. But the reason why, and just like when they nerfed Dreambreaker, is because the community bitches because it was better than fucking Tryhard. Well, they should be better than Tryhard. And I don't remember who it was, but there was a few people who, like, shunned me essentially for saying that because the Tryhard quest was so hard. Well, a newsflash. Whether it was hard or not, it's a newer fucking item, and it was a quest item as well, so it still should be regardless. Otherwise, that's how games die. Right, and that's another thing, just like what you said yourself, is like, they're giving us fucking skins for rods that none of us over 90% of the players that they still have left don't fucking have. Even when you look in the Discord right now, over half those people are brand new people. They're not veteran players. There's very few people in there that you see that are still like older players. And right now, the new thing in the fucking Discord is people going to Forge. Yeah, go ahead. Well, Nate's rod was always intended to be removed, but that's another issue that I have and what I think irritates a lot of the community, especially when new players come in because nothing like quote unquote black market. So whether it's a furnishing vendor, a merchant vendor, in any game that I have ever been in operates the way that this game does, whether it's the actual Robux shop or whatever. This game operates vastly different, and I think that's what irritates a lot of the community as well, is that their big shtick is that they put something in that 90% of the community can't get, except for the original players who have been here forever that have billions. But no new player, no mid-grade player can afford. And their shtick is that it's in for a week and then it's gone and it never returns. And same with, like I said, the Robux shop. Where that's why I preach what would be nice to see is where some people is like, get rid of black market altogether. I think the reason why they say that is because it causes a lot of animosity between players because they can't get things out of it. And they're angry because they can't afford, they can't grind enough, they can't whatever before the item is gone and disappears. And whereas most things like that operate where even if it's in for only a week, it's a rotating week. So it comes back around so people have the opportunity to get it again later. So when they get further into the game, when they get money and they have more money, they always have the opportunity because it's on a rotating shift. All of the items in game rotate, whether it's real life money, whether it's in-game currency, it all has a rotating shift. So it will always come back around and drop again on another week. Sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's not for a whole nother year, but it's always there again at another point. And it's the same week every single time. So whether it's a monthly basis, whether it's a 6-month basis, whether it's a year basis, it's always at the same time. So you know when it's going to come out and you know how long you need to be able to grind for it to have enough for what it is that you want. And that's what I would love to